People talk about love like it's a choice, like you can swipe pick or plan your way into forever. But life, it doesn't work that neatly, does it? You meet someone when you least expect it, sometimes when you're broken, sometimes when you're not even looking. It's almost like every wrong person, every painful goodbye, was leading you somewhere. Like there's a hand behind the chaos, connecting every moment, every face, every heartbeat, until it all makes sense. Love isn't chosen, it's destined. People like to think they're in control of it, that they can decide who to love, when to love, and how long it should last. They make lists, set standards, draw imaginary lines, and convince themselves they're steering the wheel. But deep down, they know they're not. Love doesn't follow rules. It doesn't knock politely on your door and wait for you to be ready. It crashes in, uninvited, unannounced, and completely out of sync with your plans. One moment, you're just living your ordinary little life, and the next, someone shows up and turns it upside down. No warnings, no reason, no logic, just chaos wearing a smile. You see, that's the thing about destiny. It doesn't ask for your permission. It doesn't care about your type, your preferences, your not right now. It just drops a person into your world. And suddenly everything you thought you wanted doesn't matter anymore. You can resist. You can pretend. You can fight it with all your strength. But it keeps pulling you back, like gravity. Like something unseen is quietly moving the pieces when you're not looking. People say love is a choice, but have you ever really tried to stop loving someone you weren't supposed to? Have you ever tried to walk away when every part of you screamed to stay? You tell yourself you'll move on, you'll forget, you'll erase every memory. But the heart doesn't obey logic. It doesn't care about your plans or your comfort. It beats for who it beats for. It remembers what it wants to remember. It's stubborn like that. And maybe that's the whole point. Maybe love isn't about finding the one you want, but meeting the one you were meant to. The one written into your story long before you learned what love even was. You cross paths at the strangest time, under the strangest circumstances, and something inside you just knows. You don't understand it, you can't explain it, but it feels like you've met before. Like you've been waiting for this person your whole life without even realizing it. It's strange, isn't it? How two people can be miles apart, living completely different lives, and somehow their roads still find a way to meet. You call it coincidence, but it's not. There's no such thing as coincidence, only timing that makes sense later. Every decision, every heartbreak, every wrong turn leads you exactly where you're supposed to be. It's almost poetic how chaos and pain shape the path to something beautiful. You don't plan it, you don't predict it, you just collide. Sometimes it's gentle, sometimes it's violent, but it changes everything. You start to see how every person who left was preparing you for the one who won't. Every moment of loneliness was building your strength to recognize something real. You start realizing love was never random. It was written. Every face, every word, Every silence, all part of a bigger picture you were too close to see. And when it happens, it doesn't feel like fireworks or fairy tales. No, it's quieter than that. It feels like peace after a storm, like coming home after being lost for years. You don't question it. You don't need to. You just know. You see, love like that doesn't need explanation. It feels inevitable. As if every breath, every heartbeat, every mistake you ever made was leading you here. People spend their whole lives chasing the idea of love, searching for perfection, trying to control something that was never meant to be controlled. But destiny. Destiny doesn't care about your checklists or timing. It brings you the right person at the wrong time just to test you. It breaks your heart just to teach you. It gives you glimpses of love before giving you the real thing, just to make sure you'll recognize it when it finally arrives. You can call it fate, destiny, divine timing, whatever makes you sleep at night. But deep down, you feel it too. That invisible thread connecting two souls long before they ever meet. It's not fantasy. It's not madness. It's the one thing in this unpredictable world that somehow makes sense. You might not understand it now. You might doubt it, laugh at it, ignore it. But when it happens, when everything aligns in ways you can't explain, you'll remember this truth. Love isn't chosen, it's destined. Every heartbreak has purpose. Funny thing, isn't it? How something that feels like it's destroying you piece by piece could actually be shaping you into someone stronger. People hate pain. They avoid it, hide from it, pretend it doesn't exist. But the truth is, pain is the only thing that ever really teaches you anything. You think love is about smiles and flowers and forever, but it's the heartbreaks that carve the lessons deep into your bones. They change the way you see, the way you feel, the way you love. Without them, you'd still be naive enough to believe love is supposed to be perfect. Every time your heart breaks, a piece of your illusion dies with it. The illusion that things will always go your way. The illusion that people will stay because they said they would. The illusion that love alone is enough. You see, heartbreak is honest, brutally honest. It shows you who you are without anyone else. When everything you built collapses, when the person you thought was your forever walks away, you're forced to face the only person left standing, yourself. And that's the part no one likes to talk about. The silence after the storm. The nights when you stare at the ceiling wondering what you did wrong. When every memory plays on repeat like a broken film reel. You keep looking for answers, for closure, for something to make it all make sense. But the truth is, heartbreak isn't meant to make sense right away. It's meant to strip you down, make you raw, vulnerable, real. It forces you to stop pretending, to stop clinging to the fantasy of control. You think it's punishment, but it's preparation. Every heartbreak builds something inside you. Resilience, clarity, patience. You start to understand what you deserve, what you can't tolerate, what you truly need. You start to see that not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some are there to wake you up. Some are there to break you open so you can finally see what you've been ignoring. Some are mirrors, reflecting your own flaws back at you. Some are lessons disguised as lovers. The pain isn't meaningless. It's the sculptor that shapes the masterpiece. You learn to stop chasing validation. Stop begging for love that doesn't want to stay. You learn that real strength doesn't come from holding on. It comes from letting go. And in that letting go, something changes. You stop searching for someone to complete you and start realizing you were never broken in the first place. You start to appreciate the heartbreaks because they gave you depth. Without them, you'd still think love is just about butterflies and promises. But heartbreak, it teaches you that love is also about patience, forgiveness, and growth. It shows you how strong your heart really is. How it can break into 1,000 pieces and still keep beating. That's power. That's survival. You see, pain has a strange way of cleaning out your soul. It burns away the illusions, the fake smiles, the temporary attachments. It leaves behind only what's real. And once you've been through that kind of fire, you don't fall in love the same way again. You stop being impressed by words. You start noticing consistency. You stop craving intensity. You start valuing peace. That's what heartbreak does. It rewires you. It teaches you to recognize love, not by how it excites you, but by how it calms you. It's ironic, isn't it? The thing you thought would destroy you is actually the thing that saves you. The pain you cursed ends up being the reason you grow. You start seeing life differently. You stop blaming the past and start understanding it. Every betrayal, every disappointment, every tear, they all played their part in pushing you toward who you were meant to become. Sometimes you have to lose the person you thought was the one to become the person who's ready for the right one. Sometimes you need the silence after heartbreak to hear your own heart for the first time. Whoa. Sometimes you need to break to learn how to rebuild. That's not tragedy. That's transformation. The universe doesn't waste pain. It recycles it into purpose. People who've never been broken, they don't really understand love. They talk about it like it's always soft and sweet. But the ones who've been through it, they know love has teeth. It bites. It hurts. It tests you. But it also heals you in ways nothing else can. Heartbreak isn't the end of love. It's the classroom where you learn what love truly means. And maybe that's why the ones who've been shattered the most end up loving the deepest. Because they've seen the darkness. They've felt the emptiness. And yet, they still believe. They still open their hearts again, even after everything. That's the irony of it all. Heartbreak doesn't kill love. It purifies it. It removes the fantasy and leaves only truth. And that truth, no matter how painful, always has purpose. Timing matters more than desire. People think if they want something badly enough, they'll get it. They think love works like a vending machine. Put in enough effort, wait long enough, and out comes what you asked for. But life doesn't play by your rules. You can meet the right person at the wrong time and lose them. You can meet the wrong person at the right time and get hurt. Timing, not desire, is what decides everything. You might want something so badly you can taste it, but if it's not your time, it won't happen. That's the part no one likes to hear. You see, people confuse wanting with deserving. They think because they love purely, or because they've been patient, or because they've suffered enough, they've earned their happy ending. But life isn't fair like that. Sometimes the universe makes you wait. Sometimes it shows you glimpses of what could be, just to test if you'll hold on or let go. Timing is cruel that way. It teases you, it makes you believe. Then it rips it away, just to see if you'll break or build. You can have two people perfectly made for each other, but if one of them is still healing, still scared, still running from their past, love won't work. Not because it's not real, but because it's not ready. Love can't survive when one heart is open and the other is still bleeding. You can't rush healing. You can't force readiness. Timing decides when two paths align, not your desire, not your impatience, not your dreams. It's funny, isn't it? How we spend years asking for something, begging for it, planning for it. And when it finally arrives, we realize we're not ready. We think we can handle it, but timing knows better. It doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you're ready for. If love came too soon, you'd ruin it. If success came too fast, you'd waste it. Timing is the invisible hand that saves you from yourself, even when it feels like punishment. You watch people fall in love and think, why not me? Why now for them and not for me? But you don't see the parts of their story that prepared them. The nights they cried, the mistakes they made, the lessons they learned. You're comparing your waiting season to someone else's harvest. And that's where pain grows. In comparison, in impatience, in disbelief. You start thinking you've been forgotten. But maybe you're just being prepared. Maybe your time hasn't come because you're still becoming the person your story needs you to be. Desire is wild. It's impulsive. It wants everything now. But timing is patient, calculated, deliberate. It waits until you've learned what you need to learn, until you've lost what you needed to lose. Because if you got everything you wanted right now, you'd take it for granted. You wouldn't appreciate it. You wouldn't understand its weight. Timing makes sure you do. It slows you down so when the right moment arrives, you recognize it. You can't trick timing. You can't outsmart it. You can't bribe it with tears or prayers or effort. It doesn't move just because you're tired of waiting. It moves when everything aligns. Your heart, your growth, your readiness, your purpose. And when it does, it happens fast. That's the irony of it. You wait for years, thinking nothing's happening, and then suddenly, everything changes overnight. That's how timing works. Quietly, behind the scenes, until it decides to show up. The hardest part is trusting it, because desire feels so loud. It screams inside you, telling you you're running out of time, that you're missing your chance. But timing whispers. It says, not yet. And you hate that answer. You call it unfair, cruel, heartless. But maybe it's mercy in disguise. Maybe. Not yet. is protecting you from something that looks good, but would destroy you if it came too soon. You ever notice how the things that didn't work out start making sense later? The job you didn't get, the person who didn't stay, the door that never opened. At the time, it felt like rejection. Now you see it was redirection. Timing doesn't say no. It says, not now. But humans don't like waiting. They want instant results, instant love, instant meaning. They rush what's meant to unfold slowly. And then they wonder why it falls apart. The truth is, timing tests you before it rewards you. It delays you to see if you'll quit. It withholds to see if you still believe. Because faith without patience is just desire wearing a mask. Everyone says they trust life until life makes them wait. That's when the truth comes out. When the silence stretches, when nothing's moving, when you start doubting. That's when timing watches you closely to see if you'll still stand firm. You can fight it, curse it, hate it, but you'll lose. Timing always wins. Because no matter how much you want something, if it's not the right season, it won't bloom. You can water it with effort, pray over it, cry for it. But until the moment is right, nothing will grow. And when it finally does, you'll understand why it had to take so long, why you had to lose so much, why you had to wait through the silence. Because timing matters more than desire. Pain prepares you for the right one. You don't realize it while you're bleeding, but every scar is shaping you into someone different, someone sharper, someone wiser. People run from pain like it's poison, but it's really a teacher. The kind that doesn't use words, just consequences. You think pain ruins you, but it's building you. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every betrayal, they're all training sessions for the moment you meet the one who's meant to stay. Because without pain, you wouldn't recognize peace. Without chaos, you wouldn't value calm. You see, everyone wants the right person, but no one wants to be ready for them. They think love fixes everything. It doesn't. Love exposes everything you've ignored. If you're still broken, love will show you where the cracks are. If you're still insecure, it'll bring out your fears. That's why pain comes first. To show you yourself before someone else does. Pain clears out the illusions, so that when something real comes along, you don't sabotage it with your old wounds. It's funny how people say, "I'm tired of being hurt," as if hurt doesn't have a purpose. You can't skip the pain and expect the reward. The hurt you go through now is what teaches you patience, boundaries, understanding. It's what makes you gentle with the right person and careful with their heart. The ones who've never been hurt, they take love lightly. They play with it. But the ones who've been broken, they handle love differently. Like something fragile, something sacred. Pain changes your taste. You stop craving excitement. You start craving peace. You stop chasing what looks good. You start searching for what feels right. That's growth. Pain rewires your heart. It teaches you what kind of love you need, not what kind you want. Because what you want usually comes from ego, but what you need comes from experience. And pain gives you plenty of that. Sometimes pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's life testing your capacity to love without losing yourself. You think you're ready for something real, but then pain asks, are you sure? Because real love demands strength, patience, forgiveness, and pain is the only place you learn those things. You can't fake wisdom. You can't pretend healing. Pain makes sure you earn it. You ever notice how after pain, your standards change? You stop letting people play with your time. You stop explaining your worth. You stop chasing anyone who makes you feel hard to love. That's the result of pain. It removes your softness, but in the best way. It teaches you that love shouldn't feel like begging. It shouldn't hurt to be seen. And once you learn that, you never settle for almost again. Pain gives you vision. It teaches you to look beyond smiles, beyond sweet words. You start noticing patterns, energy, silence. You learn to listen not just to what people say, but to what they avoid saying. Pain makes you observant. It turns you into a detective of emotion. Because once you've been lied to, once you've been left, once you've been used, you see the signs early next time. Not because you're bitter, but because you've learned. There's beauty in that, you know. The kind of beauty that only comes from surviving what was meant to break you. Pain burns away your illusions. And in the ashes, you find the version of yourself that doesn't depend on anyone else to feel whole. That's when love finally has a chance. When it meets a person who's no longer desperate for it, but ready to share it. Pain teaches you that not everything lost was meant to be kept. Sometimes people come into your life just to teach you how to value the one who's coming next. Their lessons wrapped in heartbreak. They teach you what love is not, so you'll recognize what it is. The next time someone shows up and treats you right, you'll feel the difference instantly. You'll feel it in how easy it is, how safe it feels. Pain prepared you for that. You learn patience from waiting on someone who never showed up. You learn boundaries from giving too much. You learn strength from being left alone. Every painful experience leaves behind a tool, a sharper instinct, a quieter wisdom, a stronger sense of self. You collect them like weapons, not to fight love, but to protect it when it's finally real. Pain is the silent architect of your future peace. It tears down the walls you built from fantasy and replaces them with bricks of truth. You stop believing in perfect people and start valuing real ones. You stop chasing attention and start craving connection. Pain humbles you, strips you of your illusions, and rebuilds you with depth. That's why when the right one finally comes, you're ready. Not because they're perfect, but because pain taught you how to love them right. It's strange, isn't it? How something so cruel could be so necessary. Pain breaks you, but it also builds you. It takes away your comfort, your certainty, your naivety. But in return, it gives you strength, clarity, and wisdom. You walk through fire thinking you'll never be the same, and you're right. You won't. You'll be better, stronger, wiser. You'll love differently, softer, deeper, because pain prepared you for the right one. Destiny connects paths unexpectedly. You go through life thinking you're in charge, that every choice, every step, every turn is yours to make. You plan, you dream, you chase. And then one random day, a conversation, a glance, a simple moment, changes everything. You meet someone you weren't looking for, someone who feels strangely familiar. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit into your plans, but somehow it feels right. That's destiny. It doesn't care about your timing, your schedule, or your logic. It moves in silence, weaving invisible threads between souls that were meant to meet long before they even knew it. People say life is random, but is it? How do you explain crossing paths with someone out of billions? How do you explain the coincidences? The same place, same time, same chaos, all aligning perfectly to bring two lives together. You can call it luck or fate or divine timing, but deep down you know it's something more. Something that was always meant to happen. The universe doesn't waste connections. Every person who enters your life is either a lesson, a blessing, or both. And sometimes you don't realize which one until much later. You see, destiny isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It whispers. It works quietly, in the background, connecting dots you can't see yet. You think you're making choices, but maybe those choices were written long before you made them. Maybe every heartbreak, every detour, every disappointment was designed to guide you toward the person whose story intertwines with yours. That's the beauty of it. You can't predict it, but you can feel it when it happens. That strange pull, that sense of recognition, that moment where everything just clicks. You might not meet them when you're ready. You might meet them when your life feels like a mess, when you're lost, broken, or tired. But that's how destiny works. It doesn't wait for perfection. It brings people together when they need each other most, not when they expect it. Sometimes it's not about romance. Sometimes it's about healing, growth, awakening. Sometimes that person comes into your life to teach you something you couldn't learn alone. And sometimes you're the one who's meant to teach them. It's strange.